Welcome to drivenmavens.com. My name is Arvind Ramkrishna, and today we're going to cover speed paintings using Photoshop CS5. This is time-lapse. Originally I did want to do the painting, create the painting in real time, but I felt that was just going to take too long. So we're just going to jump right in. I've got a photograph here that I obtained from Goodwood Revival. It's a terrific website that has loads of inspirational photographs. You can find them also on Facebook. I highly recommend checking them out. When you're doing a speed painting, the important thing to recognize is that you're just trying to capture the essence. I ended up getting into a little bit more detail on this, but I start off first with a base coat just to get rid of that white space that I have. And essentially I'm just taking the color of the road or some aspect or a variant of the color of the road. All this is being done by eye. I'm not using any color pickers or anything. And what you want to do when you create speed paintings is to concentrate just on the overall shape. You want to be able to relate the different shapes and the elements of the photograph and just replicate them as you see them. It's a different approach. I have other speed paintings within the website that you can also reference to understand this technique. I also have a DVD that's released that gives an introduction to speed painting, the methodology behind it. So this is actually a pretty nice supplement to that DVD set. So what I'm doing here is, again, I'm taking the Grand Prix car here that is in the foreground, that is in the front. And I'm just trying to understand what are the shapes, how do they relate to the overall canvas size. So I've got this rectangular canvas. I'm just trying to position it visually in relationship to where's half of the canvas and where do these elements line up as far as proximity and distance to the edge of the canvas. And in this case, this is just the canvas that I'm referencing in Photoshop. And all I'm doing right now is starting to identify all the major graphical areas that I see. One of the common things that people do when they're creating these speed paintings or even more detailed paintings, in fact the detailed paintings start off with roughing out the photograph or the reference as it is by just trying to understand the changes and the shifts in the value. One of the things that I emphasize as well when you're doing creating your drawings is to understand what they look like in a grayscale format, because the grayscale format you don't have to worry about color, but you do understand what the value distribution is. All I'm doing here is sort of guessing the colors. Just trying to graphically put in the little detail and the elements that I see within the grill area. Nothing has to be really perfect. All you're doing is just sort of indicating all this stuff. And it's okay, when you're experimenting, the objective is not to, well, yeah, you are trying to create the image or the photograph, but none of this stuff is intended to be a finished painting or a finished drawing. These are what I call brain exercises. They are meant primarily for you to get your brain used to looking at these elements and being able to identify, understand the details, and be able to replicate that in the form of patterns. Patterns, shapes, textures, color variation, and that's it. So here I'm just, I'm guessing. I'm picking the colors, and then I'm trying to look at the picture. I'm trying to relate. How close am I getting to those colors? What do I need to adjust? And so this is really a terrific method for you to train your eye to understand and look at details, because you're going to use this information in the future as you start to create your own artwork or your designs from memory. You're expanding your visual vocabulary, so to speak. I've said that actually quite a few times on articles and other tutorials, I believe. Again, as I go through here, just detailing things out. Where's my tire? Where's the brake? Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm zooming out. I'm trying to get a good idea as I look further off and not zoom into the details. I'm actually have zoomed out quite a bit, and I'm just trying to add in some of the details and relate or understand the colors that I've picked and see if I can correct them. So as you see, here I am adding the driver in the rear. Just this red circular blob. And once again, I'm just indicating graphical elements. I know that the top of the head is going to be pretty close to the darker background, or the top of that gray area. So this is kind of how I'm measuring everything as I go along. You know, where is one element in relationship to another? Where's one graphical element in relationship to another element? And that's what I'm trying to determine. Just constantly scanning, going back and forth, and checking. This is another reason why you do this. Nothing is going to be better than repetition. But you know, the more you work on this, the more you improve in being able to relate to the details, and to be able to add a little bit more realism to your drawings, or your paintings, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you're going to be working on. Again, just adding a little bit more detail. As far as layers go for this example, I'm only working off of one layer. I don't typically do this when I do a full-blown digital painting. I have several layers that I work with. I may put a highlight in one other in a separate layer. I might put some darks in another layer. I might put my pencil, my line drawing on the bottom layer. But for speed paintings, I really don't care. I'm not trying to make this thing look pretty. I'm just using this for my own practice exercises to get my brain to get used to these shapes and identifying them. Heck, you never know. I mean, some of these things may even turn out to be a picture or a painting that you may want to blow up and actually invest and spend some more time on. Okay, now as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit more detail to the grill area. When I use the Wacom tablet, I apply very little pressure at the top, and then I increase that pressure once I get to the center, so that you can see that center is a little bit brighter, and then it fades off to the top. That's the advantage of having a Wacom tablet, getting that pressure sensitivity and being able to utilize that. Alright, we're just wrapping up. I'm just about done. We're kind of going to cruise through here. I'm going to add a little bit more detail through the grill. Add the leather strap around the top. Once again, I'm just using this Wacom tablet. I'm not using any other tools in Photoshop like paths or anything like that to kind of smooth and get a perfect ellipse. It's very hard for me to get perfect ellipses on a Wacom tablet unless you have something like a Cintiq where you can directly draw on the screen itself. I'm much better when I'm doing this freehand. Just trying to correct some of the stuff here in the bottom. And that should be it. I'm just wrapping this thing up. Hope you enjoyed this and found it informative. And be sure to keep checking back here at drivenmavens.com and our sister site, howtojawcarsnow.com.